tuned into the greatest sports show on the planet. That's Prince, and he's Barty. And you're now listening to Prince and Barty. Buckle up.
Prince and Barty, we are back. This is episode 105. If you're listening for the first time, we appreciate you. If you've been rocking with us since 2020, we love you. Thank you for the support. Hey, last show was crazy, man. All-Star fatigue.
Yeah, crazy. The All-Star game was crazy.
Oh my God. So we just called the All-Star fatigue because we tired of it, man.
Facts. Shoot, man, let's jump into this hole in the court with Prince, man.
Holding court with Prince. Our resident NBA guru, Prince, dives into all things basketball.
Cage into a three. Got it! Curry!
You know, looking at the full scale of that trade, Anthony Davis is hurt, which we knew who he was, Mr. Glass. And then Luka just needed his time. I was saving this take for this show in particular. Do you want to know who the Lakers remind me of? They remind me of the Phoenix Suns when they had Jason Kidd and Kevin Johnson. You got two predominantly playmakers that can play off each other. But now imagine putting them with a Ryu and Austin Reeves. So now you don't know how to guard them because you got LeBron maybe being Kevin Johnson, the older player, and Luka being the Jason Kidd of the offense. There's just nothing you can do. They're triple threat players. What you think?
Nah, I think when you put two IQ players together, it's magic's gonna happen. Obviously the game, just reflecting on the game over this weekend, Luka looked comfortable.
Facts.
I think they had a discussion. They said that Luka was in Cabo training. He's locked in. I think with somebody like Luka, why we love Jordan, why we love Kobe, why we love LeBron is they have the natural ability, and once you add that work ethic with it,
facts.
It's really over with.
Nah, that's a fact.
But I love what I'm seeing, man. That's a great comparison with that Suns team. You know, J. Kidd probably arguably the fastest guard with the ball in his hands running downhill. His size, his speed, his court vision was why he's one of the greats of his era, man. But I feel good about the Lakers, man. I know people tired of looking at my social media because, hey, it's going to get worse, y'all. I promise that. We looking good, looking comfortable. But to go into Denver and have a statement win like that, I mean, we love Luka, but just the defensive statement. Talk to me about what you saw with just, Hachimura guarding Joker. JJ Redick, we gotta give him credit for that game plan. Said he was up for 2 days, preparing for Joker. So what do you think about JJ Redick's game plan and just getting the team ready, their mindset together?
There's some people who, when they announce, it just goes directly correlates to the court. And that's what you see with Redick. When Redick was announcing, he was saying a lot of the same things that he would have done if he was coaching this team, that team, and all these other teams. So he right now put together a great game plan. But I love what I see from the Lakers because even when they had the 2-game losing streak, what people don't understand was, one, Luka was on the minutes restriction. And on the first game of the back-to-back, Austin Reeves got ejected. So you can't even really look at those two losses. The Lakers have looked the best they've looked. And I'm going to make a crazy statement. Since LeBron got there. This is the best team that LeBron has had. I think this team is better than the championship team. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because you have 3 triple threat players in Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic. And Ryu, he just has the biggest green light in the world to do what he wants to do. So it's really not much you can do with the Lakers. This is probably one of their best rosters. I mean, the team that won the championship was a great team because they had a lot of predominantly bigs. But I think this is a team where LeBron has played with people who can get their shot. Kyrie Irving, Dwayne Wade. He's played with players who can get their shot. Westbrook. But when you look at these guys, Austin Reeves is shooting the 3 at a great clip. We know what Luka has done. Luka is the fastest to any number right now. He's even faster than LeBron. So you got these three playing together, and then you got JJ. JJ just says, pick your poison. Who wants to get the ball? They can play ISO all day if they want. They could do ISO Joe every play and get the plays going because LeBron just cuts to the basket. So when you look at what the Lakers can do as a team, what team in the NBA has 3 triple threat scorers?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, like I said last show, yeah, you could talk about being undersized, but what big scares you outside of a Joker? So there's no big that's really going to go down there and just pound you to sleep. We just played Portland. They got some good bigs. Robert Williams III, who we thought we were going to get, had him locked up. Even against Charlotte, we got people putting bodies on people when that ball goes up. So once you box out as a team, you hustle. Listen, the best big in the world, he had less than his average.
Facts.
So it's a defensive effort, man. Under Darvin Ham, I've never seen the Lakers, like you going back, you might be right, 2020, of the defensive intensity. LeBron is engaged. Luka probably had a couple steals. Everybody played their part. You know what I mean? I'm loving Dorian Finney-Smith, too.
Well, Dorian Finney-Smith always was one of Luka's best defenders that he's ever had on the squad. So for us to have him, and he's paired up with Vando, you got the defensive brothers. You know, they're going to play some D. So on the wing, we might be the best defensive team. Now, in the paint, we might not be, but on the wing, we are. And just to see the 2 blocks back-to-back on Joker, one from LeBron, the other one from Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect had a block. Yeah. He had a block. So, the Lakers look good, but, I don't even think that's the biggest story in the NBA. Biggest story in the NBA is, to me, the little engine that can't. And you know who the little engine that can is?
Who's that?
Joel Embiid.
Man.
This dude here, it just makes no sense to me. Because the problem I have with him is, did you care more about the Olympic gold medal when you're not even from America, no disrespect, than the team you play for in Philly? Because your body needed the time to rest, and you went and played in the Olympics. Now look at your body now. And the thing is, we thought that the process, maybe he would build his body up and he'll get better. But Joel Embiid is just as bad as Anthony Davis. They've both missed the glass because Embiid has been hurt more than AD, and AD got a ring.
Yeah, man. The Embiid situation it's crazy, man. 76ers lost their 7th straight game over the weekend. He actually got benched.
Yeah, I saw that.
Joel Embiid got benched. Where do we start? Going back to last year, obviously, he dominated against the Knicks. He fought through a bunch of injuries. So we can't say that he doesn't fight through injury. Like, he's not like a player who doesn't fight. But that knee looks bad, man. It looks like, I know you remember back in the day, Patrick Ewing, them knee pads started getting bigger. They started getting thicker.
Facts.
Dan Marino was looking like the mummy out there his last couple of years, just he couldn't even move. He had so much padding on. Sixers are screwed, man, and dare I say, that's the curse of James Harden, with a Daryl Morey. You try to do people dirty. You didn't give James his money. You're over-promising, under-delivering. You overpaid for Paul George, thinking you were going to move the needle. You can say what you want about the Clippers, but I trust Ty Lue. He's up there. Ty Lue, obviously Spoelstra are my 2 favorite coaches. Redick is quickly coming in that category, but has to do more. But if the Clippers didn't believe in you, and Steve Ballmer, we're talking a billionaire, and they didn't see your value of giving you that money, that Paul George thing might really set them back for a decade. You pay a young Tyrese Maxey. What do you have to show? It's disrespect, man. First of all, he didn't play for his country. He played for USA. Let's go back to Joel Embiid, right? He's playing in your face, over there balling, kicking, having a great time for Team USA. But when I need you, you're not available. You missed the whole first part of the season. Now, in season, you telling me you might have to have another knee surgery. Like, how could you get disrespected? They said he played 50% of his game his whole career. And made over $400 million he made. It's just like, it's unfortunate, man. That process is looking crazy.
It definitely is. And the sad part is Paul George is looking the same as well, too. When I look at the Sixers and the Clippers, because you mentioned the Clippers, I think they remind me of the VA. places that the soldiers go after the great years, or out in the army, out in the field, out in Iraq. They fought the Cold War. Now they came back home and they're a shell of themselves. I mean, you look at all the people that they get. Kawhi is a shell of himself. Paul George is a shell of himself. Ben Simmons is a shell of himself. And it's funny. It's like when you look at the correlation, it's like they switching players too, because Ben was in Philly and now he's in the Clippers. I think these teams are teams that are scrambling. Like they want to win a championship, but the organization does not have like when you look at what the Lakers did to get Luka, that was a chess move. When you see what the Eagles did to win the Super Bowl, chess move. The Chiefs, chess move. Teams that win, they make chess moves. I think a lot of these teams that are low are making checkers moves. They just making moves just to keep us on TV.
Yeah, I agree. I think the landscape of the NBA has changed dramatically where it's a money game now. So you got these TV rights deals, so the money has to get spent. So that's why Paul George at his age and stage is going to get overpaid. That's why a lot of these people are going to make even more money. You're going to be even more mad. Where shout out to young Scooter, he has this thing where he's just like, kids, if you stay in school, you too can make, like he'll clown a lot of these players, but it's real, and it's just gonna get worse. I don't think these teams have championship aspirations. If you look at, you just named the Eagles, you just named the Lakers, you look at the Boston Celtics, Danny Ainge literally built that for over a decade. So the finished product of Tatum, Brown, this was started a decade ago. Hoarding picks. What they're doing in OKC. They got more picks than anything.
True.
What he's able to do in Utah. Watch out for Utah. Danny Ainge is doing what Danny Ainge does, just hoarding picks. Getting all his picks, and he's going to make a big splash. But I don't know, man. But you know what I wanted to talk to you about? Because somebody brought it up. So the Knicks, they on a little slide. I know a lot of people there. Mitchell Robinson is a savior apparently, because all Knicks fans keep telling me is, oh, wait till Mitchell Robinson come back. I didn't realize he was Wilt. But what's been going on, man? I think it's a lot of inconsistency. We gave Cat his flowers last episode. But what more can the Knicks do? Because think about it. I went back and looked. They gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. Think about what I'm telling you. 5 first-round picks. Jimmy Butler was just a free agent. Think about all the people that the Knicks could have got. Now, would you want Mikal Bridges or Jimmy Butler right now?
It's crazy. People don't think I'm tripping. But, I probably still would take Jimmy.
Because we're talking about winning now, so we're not thinking about down the road.
In the future, yeah. Well, I think defensively, Jimmy has lost a step. And I think Bridges is the better defender. So for the system that they run in New York, I would take Mikal. But the problem I see with New York is, and I learned this last year when I lost $100 on the Knicks in the playoffs, Tibbs don't play his bench. Tibbs be having starters going 40, 50 minutes. Like,
burn them out.
He be trying to run them into the ground. He think that they're a rental car.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. So I think that's why the slide is happening, because Tibbs did the same thing in the playoffs last year, and look how many people got hurt.
Yeah.
All his starters got hurt. And so I think that the Knicks are a few bench players away. That's what I think. I would say they're a few bench players away.
Yeah.
And they should have never gotten rid of DiVincenzo. Even though the trade was better off for the Knicks than it was for Minnesota, because we see where Minnesota is when you look at the standings. But, yeah, I mean, with the slide, though, if you look at the teams that's under them, Indiana, Milwaukee, Detroit, Orlando, and Miami, I don't really think, the only team I think that is capable of probably making a run towards them would be probably the Bucks, if they get healthy and they get right. But remember, Giannis is hurt, so they're not.
Bobby Portis is out.
And he's out. He's just indefinite. So, when you look at that, all you can do is just say, you know what, it's really a 3-team race in the East. The Celtics, the Cavs, and the Knicks. And we all know that the Celtics probably get eliminated in the first round because the Knicks have been to the playoffs in recency bias. So Jalen Brunson and Cat have playoff history, so they can possibly. It probably might be Knicks Celtics Eastern Conference Finals.
But here's the thing: like, I know, like, they kind of took a skid, but I wouldn't want to play Orlando or the Pacers.
Yeah, I would say that
because they got just so many young people. It's more of a. It's not even that they're better. It's more of they got bodies. Orlando just got a bunch of players.
That's true.
And they all going to probably get healthy when it's time.
That's true. I know who I would want to play, and no disrespect to the home team, but I would love to play Miami.
Yeah, man.
Just sweep them jokers. Them jokers is garbage. Gabito.
Yeah. You know who I like? I like Ware. Khalil Ware, he's going to be a problem. You know, if they could just continue to develop him, he a monster.
But if you ever notice and you look at the situation, like even with the interview that you did with Trick, when you look at the Heat do the same. It's like they get the same window, 3-4 year window.
Yeah.
Try and win a championship, put a little team together. It's like they're rushing to get to the end of a race, and when they get to the end of the race, all their players are just exhausted, like Tibbs, and then they trade it away, or they're underpaid, or the only person I think that Miami really took care of under the championship window was Dwayne Wade. Other than that, that was it.
Miami's always in a weird position because they got a high payroll where it's not as bad now because that's why the Jimmy thing was like that. But you always middle of the pack. You still not even top 4 or 5 in the East.
Yeah.
But you always keep a competitive team. It's like you compete and they compete. You got to pick a side. Either swing for the fence or be a lottery team.
That's true.
So middle of the pack. It's cool to keep a competitive roster for your fans, but let's keep it real, man. Well, you're not winning nothing with Wiggins, with Terry Rozier. Tyler Hero's having a breakout year. Bam is the number 2, 3 at best. And I would say if Bam was your 3rd best player, that's a championship team.
True.
But him as your number 2, he doesn't score enough. He's not aggressive enough, and I've always said that about Bam. You see him in the summertime hitting 100 threes in a row. But when it's time to get in the game, he has a high motor. There's no reason Bam shouldn't be a better version of Draymond Green.
True.
I've seen Bam run the point. He's more versatile to me. He's a better offensive player than Draymond. But Draymond just looks more, I don't know, he looks more valuable at times than our boy Bam. Bam looked amazing in the Olympics. But let's get to the big news, man. The alien, Victor Wembanyama, man, he went down, blood clot, DVT in his shoulder, man, deep vein thrombosis. So he's out indefinitely. So to give you some context, Brandon Ingram has had that. He was out, but he came back healthy, but became an all-star the next year. So the Spurs aren't worried long term. But I guess my question is, are the Spurs cursed? Going back to when they got LaMarcus Aldridge. They got LaMarcus, because remember, it was controversial. LaMarcus left Dame. He goes to San Antonio. We're like, okay, Kawhi, LaMarcus. LaMarcus gets hurt. Kawhi's by himself. Then Kawhi gets hurt. The thigh bruise. You know what I mean? You get DeJounte Murray. He gets hurt. ACL. Or Achilles. Or I think it might have been his Achilles or ACL, one of the two. But Pop, hoping he gets better. What's going on with the Spurs, man, where you get a De'Aaron Fox? We talked about this on the show. Oh, they good. They got the Fox and the Alien. And it's another setback. Now, the future is good. We know Wembanyama's going to be good, but it's still probably not going to be in the playoffs. So it's still the same thing. It's another wasted year of a De'Aaron Fox. Chris Paul's he probably won't even be there.
Facts.
So what do you make of the Spurs and what they do next with Wemby?
Wemby's going to come back, but when you look at the Spurs itself, I just think that they're in their years of what the Bulls went through after Jordan won. You had all them years of winning, and now you're cursed as a franchise because one, your coach is older now, getting a little senile, plus his health is fading. So whoever was running the roster is not running the roster anymore. Who's running the roster really doesn't know what they're doing. Then on top of them not knowing what they're doing, the people that they're picking are constantly getting hurt, which goes back to what's going on with training, what's going on with muscle management. What are they doing? Because when you look at certain situations, you look at Wade, you look at Kobe, you look at Michael Jordan, they had the right trainer there.
Shout out Tim Grover.
So who is the Grover in that situation? Who is the trainer to get players to play better? Now we saw that for a year and 6 months was the longest that we've seen Anthony Davis go without like a major injury. And that was because he was training more with LeBron. You need someone to get you going that way. Wemby's still a little bit small. Now that injury that he had is not necessarily on the level of what we're talking about. But still, he needs to train better, eat better, live better. And then, of course, the lifestyle of leaving where he was overseas to coming over here in America. So all these things can be a factor. But, I mean, with the Spurs itself, I think they got a long way to go. The team that kind of blows my mind is they didn't make that much of a deal at the trade deadline. And they have 3 superstars, but they're currently outside the playoffs. They're the 11th seed. They're actually outside the play-in. Now, what is up with the Phoenix Suns? Because when you look at the Suns itself, I saw the other night when Chris Paul and Kevin Garnett was getting into it. They were screaming at each other, and they were talking on the sidelines. But even in that situation, when you look at it, like KD, you've been on probably more super teams than LeBron James, and you can't even win a championship. He was on a super team with OKC. Every team technically you've been on has been a super team because you had super players around you.
Yep.
And they're 27 and 29.
Bro,
the coach looks crazy. The team looks crazy. Remember when they first put when they had the team that was winning. Do you know that team with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges
went to the finals.
Went to the finals. And now KD comes on there and you're snake bitten.
I think underachieving that's an understatement.
Facts.
I don't get it because you look at the Memphis Grizzlies. Outside of Triple J and Ja, who you got?
That's true.
And they top 3 in the West. Top 3 in the West. Where you can talk about chemistry, all this, all you want, man. But at the end of the day, it's 3 hoopers, highly intelligent players. But I think the Bradley Beal thing going back to last season was a desperation play. They were just like, hey, we got to make some things happen. The ownership, he's a young dude, tries to shake things up, but I think they might be cursed. So now you're looking where your best asset is Kevin Durant. If you don't trade him, you're stuck. So I think this summer they got to find a trade partner to get as many pieces back for Durant if possible. Now you mortgage your whole future to the Nets to get Durant, only to trade him. It's a weird time, man. I think Bradley Beal really has them. Listen, my thing is business. You got the no trade clause. Good for you and your agent. It is what it is. I think you knew that coming into that if you're the Suns. And Bradley Beal chooses his destination. He didn't want to go to Miami. That was on the table. So now you're stuck with this. But you know who almost gets protected in this?
Who?
Devin Booker.
True.
Because you're not looking at Devin Booker as the guy. So all the blame comes on KD. And KD's playing a great year. KD's the old like LeBron, old like not as old as LeBron, obviously, but him, Steph, those are the 3 elder statesmen. Still getting their average. So from a basketball standpoint, KD can't give you much more. We could question his decision-making and other things off the court, but you can't question his dedication to the game.
True.
He will never. He's like a Kyrie. They'll never cheat the game. They're gonna get their average. They're gonna always do what they have to do. But Devin Booker's like, it looks like if KD leaves, you back to Devin Booker by himself again. That's another. So Devin Booker may not sniff a second round.
Nah, that's a fact.
He may join that James Harden category without the MVP. He won't be as successful, but it just might be one of those most talented players to never win.
Facts. One of the greatest scorers we might ever see in the game.
The Melos. I think he's just gonna be in that pile, man. But let's get into this Barty report, man.
It's the Barty report.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Where A-Slim Barty, a.k.a. Barty, brings you the latest news, rumors, and updates of the NFL.
So a lot of free agencies, man. It's T. Higgins gonna get franchise tag.
I think so. I definitely think so. Only reason why I'm saying that because you have to pay Jamar Chase. You have to pay him a lot. You have to pay Jamar Chase. You have to break the bank with Jamar Chase. If you don't break the bank with Jamar Chase, it's stupid. When a person gets a triple crown, they need to get their money. Then on top of him getting the triple crown, you have to pay Hendrickson on the defensive side. That's their best defender. And he had the most sacks this year. So you have the most sacker, you have the best wide receiver. They have to pay them. Now I know Higgins wants to get a check, but they may mess around and franchise him and not pay him maybe for 2 years. Franchise him 2 years, and then you have enough in the cap to pay everybody and do that. Because if they pay Higgins and they pay Chase and they pay Hendrickson, it's the same team. And it's that team. That team can't even beat the Kansas City Chiefs now.
They need an O-line. They need, and I'm a T. Higgins fan, man. His catch radius, his hand, it's almost like a Chris Carter-esque on how he catches the ball. But yeah, Joe is your main focus, and just getting him, shoring up that offensive line, getting that defense, some edge rushing a little better.
Facts.
Yeah, and that's where the business is tough. Now, granted, I'm not a fan of the franchise tag, but it could benefit you like it benefited Dak. But Dak's a quarterback, so he's playing regardless. Dak got franchised, twice, 2 years in a row, then got his other contract, and then got another contract after that, I believe. So the franchise tag going to get him top 5 in his position and earning $30+ million, which is great money. But listening to Unc and Chad, he was saying, this is the most money you're ever going to make is your first contract. So what if you take this franchise tag and you stink it up next year? Now all the balls go to Jamar because they got it, bro. We've seen it where somebody up for contract, they get a DMP. They don't you just don't know the politics of the game of when franchises don't want to pay you. So I hope they don't do T. Higgins dirty. You got to be a professional through it all. He got to ball out, whether he got the tag or don't got the tag.
I mean, but he don't have to do anything. He can take money elsewhere.
True.
He can go to another team. He can, okay, a lot of these free agents don't realize this. If I was you, you want a ring, you need a championship, go to Patty. Why not? Patty has young receivers.
They're going to tag him before that. That's where it get nasty.
Yeah, they probably would.
They're not even going to let that happen.
They wouldn't even let it happen. But I would, if I was Myles Garrett and I was T. Higgins, I would go to Kansas City and go win that championship. Because the thing with Philly, even though Philly has a chance to go back, Philly's going to lose. They are going to lose some players. They definitely going to lose. They can't keep everything that they drafted. There's some teams who are talking about getting Milton. There's some teams talking about because the Eagles do have some free agents that are up for free agency, and most of them are on the defensive line. And then, of course, Brandon Graham is going to be retiring. So you look at certain things and what's going on. Other players talked about retiring too. Like this may be their last year with Philly. Darius Slay said that this is his last year with Philly. But Philly's good at the cornerback position because they got 2 young corners.
Right.
I saw this one thing, man, and not to keep bringing up my team, but I got to show love to him, man. We haven't really given him his flowers. That kid Cooper DeJean is a beast. Yeah. He's a beast, man.
He's a beast.
He's a beast in college. He's a beast. If you look at him, they said he had the best ratio of any cornerback this year. They said the ratio was close to prime time. And that's crazy. He was doing everything. He tackled Henry. All the big name players he matched up against, he won the match. He won the battle. He won the battle versus Patty, won the battle versus Lamar. I mean, everybody.
Nah, he's an incredible player. I mean, to pick 6 Patty in the Super Bowl, that gives you goosebumps, man. It's funny. A lot of my white homeboys, they happy. He's a great white hype. So we don't see a lot of secondary players, man, going back to like John Lynch and these guys like that. So there's not a lot of white people or Caucasians holding it down in that position, man. So he's definitely beloved. He's young. He's hungry. He's a humble kid, too. You hear him talk. Very humble kid. So
I know you like this Jason Sehorn 2.0. Remember Jason Sehorn for you guys?
Yeah.
He definitely was a beast. And then even when he was in college, there was a song that Gardner Johnson was singing. They remade the Billie Jean song. And they said,
that's hilarious.
Cooper DeJean is not a safety.
That is
so they took the Billie Jean. They said Billie Jean is not my lover. He said Cooper DeJean is not a safety.
That's hilarious.
He'll lock down your number 1. That's what they said.
Nah, he's a monster for real. But so the Rams granted Matt Stafford to talk to other teams.
I saw that.
What are the Rams like? Think about it. The Rams were a play away from beating y'all.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. A play.
That's facts.
A play, not so. You break that up to do what? Like, what are the Rams thinking? I think obviously Matt Stafford's 35. You know, you don't want to pay an older quarterback, but he's been good since Georgia. Like, Matt Stafford's always been a solid player. When healthy, he's tough as nails. You know, his wife talks a lot. You know, I know they don't like the tweeting wives, whatever, but you got to pay the man. You know, I'm coming to you with my resume, I won you a Super Bowl. My numbers have not slipped. We probably can't win, but my numbers have not slipped. What are the Rams thinking?
I think the Rams think they can get another quarterback, but they don't realize that to find a quarterback is hard. You can get another quarterback, but to find a quarterback is never easy.
Yeah, what are you going to waste Puka Nakua's? Like,
And then they're talking about trading Cooper Kupp. Depending on where he goes, that's going to be a problem. You know who I'm wondering who's going to get paid and what he's going to get paid? Darnold. After having that season that he had, where is he going to get a contract? And maybe that's what they're thinking. They may go sign Sam Darnold. I already know. I'm thinking the same thing you're saying.
You know what's funny? All the available free agent quarterbacks are shaky. The only one who doesn't throw picks is probably Aaron Rodgers, which is crazy. Like, career-wise, as of late, he's been throwing picks. But Cousins, it's like Cousins and Darnold could fool you. So what Darnold just did, Cousins been doing his whole career. He can make it look good, like, oh, Kirk Cousins.
Whole career.
We need a veteran QB, and we can just get over the hump.
Whole career.
And then
the thing what people don't understand, though, with certain teams is the first sure way to win a championship is not get a quarterback. The first way to win a championship is shore up your offensive line and your defensive line. Because when you do that, then a running quarterback can win a Super Bowl. And that's the truth. We would never put, as far as stats, accolades, we would put Troy Aikman up there. But stats, he's not up there. But he's a champion.
Yeah, he wins when it's time.
3 times over because offensive line and defensive line. And so I think that most of these teams should take a page. You can't match wits with Patrick Mahomes. The only way you can match wits with Patrick Mahomes is have a better offensive line and defensive line. You have to win it in the trenches. And so I think the Rams need to win in the trenches because even though they were one play from beating us, Saquon Barkley averaged the most yards versus the Rams last year. He ran for over 500 yards in 2 games. He had 200 twice over. You giving up 200, you just giving 200 up to everybody. 20-piece nuggets. That's what you want to give out.
But even with that, their division is easily clinchable.
That is true.
You see what I mean? So that division is not. It's almost like a Tampa Bay with Baker.
Facts.
Y'all can win that. It's like you just got to have competent quarterback play.
That is true. I give you that with the division, but I just think that when you look at the NFC, the scale of the NFC, because even now, the AFC West is not the best division in football anymore. The best division in football is the NFC East.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, 2 years ago, if we go 2 years back when the Eagles was in the Super Bowl, who was in the playoffs? The New York Football Giants with Danny Dimes. All because of a great D-line and a great O-line.
Yeah.
And now you got the Washington Redskins coming. They finally found their quarterback. If the Dallas Cowboys are able to make that move to get Myles Garrett and put him on the other side of Michael Parsons.
Cowboys got a unique opportunity to get go after a receiver.
Exactly.
Get a Cooper Kupp.
Exactly.
The Cowboys need to make a move.
They have to. If I'm them, they have to. But even then, let's see what this coach is because they hired from within the organization. Let me ask you this. What do you think about the signing of Kellen Moore to the Saints? We know the Saints to be who they are. Derek Carr, he can't stay healthy. The offense isn't all that good. Alvin Kamara has been injury prone of late. The defense is not the same. Can Kellen Moore do anything to change that roster or that team?
Let's be real. Kellen Moore benefited from a great situation, right? So when he was with Cowboys, he gave Dak his best years. Dak was top 3 in MVP voting.
Facts.
Under Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore goes to Philly, wins the Super Bowl. So as far as being the hot coaching hire, I'll give him that. But Kellen Moore is a coach. Derek Carr is not Dak Prescott. And any of those receivers is not CeeDee Lamb. So I think Kellen Moore is only as good as his weapons. Now, no disrespect, but if you got Saquon Barkley, you got Jalen Hurts, you got offensive juggernauts.
Facts.
You could call some plays, hey, throw a screen, RPO, and I'm not trying to you get what I'm saying. I'm not trying to disrespect his mind and feel for the game, but you don't have that in New Orleans, right? Now, if he went in that meeting like, hey, I'm going to need 3 years, I'm going to need time, almost like a Sean Payton, give me time to build out my team. But if you're looking for him to be a savior, if you're a Saints fan,
That makes sense.
you tripping, you know what I mean? So, I mean, low key, I hope he's not a Bieniemy. Where I think Bieniemy, imagine if Bieniemy would have stayed at least 1 or 2 more years.
Of course.
Then you leave. I think sometimes it's hard not to leave when that money calling, an opportunity. It's hard. I get it. You know, your family, everybody wants to be a head coach, but imagine if Kellen Moore would have came back with y'all.
That's true.
You win it again. All right, now you got 2 titles now, so you could go anywhere. Mike McCarthy's still getting jobs off of winning with Aaron Rodgers back in the day.
Well, you know, it's crazy. Vic Fangio can get a job now, but he knows that he wouldn't win with any other defense than what he has in Philly. So that was a smart move. I think a lot of times you have to understand something. More people chase the bag than they chase the ring. So Kellen Moore got a ring as an assistant. So now his mindset is, let me go ahead and try and win as a coach. So that's what he's doing with New Orleans, but New Orleans is the team he shouldn't have went to, because I'm not just going to take a job to take a job, because there is responsibilities that come with taking a job. Yeah, you're getting the money, but if you don't win, you're just going to look like John Gruden when he went to Oakland.
Hold on, but I want to talk to you about this, man. Let's get into the ice check with Barty, man.
The Ice Check with Barty.
He shoots, he scores!
Talking all things hockey with the latest news and highlights.
USA versus Canada. A lot of people was tuned in. You know, I had homeboys. She's like, man, you watching this hockey game? I'm like, you don't even like hockey. But they like the fights.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, USA, Canada, you know, that rivalry. We saw it at the game, you know, when we went to that Panthers game, you know, against, who was that, Montreal?
Montreal, yeah.
So what do you think about just the energy of hockey? It was one of the most viewed sporting events of this year.
I think that the changing of the guards are coming with a lot of sports. I think that the NBA has gotten saturated with certain things. The baseball has gotten saturated with certain things. And so now it's time for hockey. I'm not saying it's going to be Americans' pastime, but you're going to have more people watching, just from the standpoint of all these Canadians coming to play. We've gotten more Negroes into hockey. But as far as that game itself, the thing that's crazy about that game, that rivalry is as old as sin. And so when you're talking about the Canadians and the American players, I don't think they'll ever win that rivalry, because the best players in the world come from Canada.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. It's the best players in the world. It's the same with football. The best players from football come from Florida. So you think it's going to change? No, it's not. And the reason why is because of climate. I mean, they live in a cold climate. If I'm in the cold all the time, I'm going to understand how to be on skates, how to play defense, how to be a great goalie. And I mean, when you look at the state of hockey, even with hockey, American-raised players are not as good as Canadian. It's not as good as overseas. It's not as good as German-raised players. Even Haitian players are better than most American players. And that's the crazy part.
No, I think it's the same thing with soccer or football. They're just born with that. Them Brazilians been kicking the ball, juggling since they 1 or 2 years old. So it's almost like that, like you said, for football and basketball with us. Even though basketball might be the only thing that gap is probably closed with the European game. But it's almost March, man. March Madness is among us, you know. This is the time of year where, like mid to April, football's over. Basketball's on its all-star second half. You know, a lot of people fighting for position, but this one I really tap into college basketball. So you look at the rankings now, you got Auburn number 1, Florida at 2, Duke at 3, Alabama at 4, and Houston. Houston's built an incredible program. Like, what they've been doing the last couple years, just kind of dominating. They got so many big men. It's crazy. Like I feel like everybody there is 6'10" and up. Rick Pitino is always in the mix. You know, Rick Pitino has St. John's in the mix. St. John's is currently at number 10. Rick Pitino wins everywhere he goes. But just what I love about March Madness is you get to discover new players. Where I remember, you know who I discovered in March Madness and I knew there was going to be a problem? Rory Hachimura.
Facts.
He went to Gonzaga. So I just remember seeing this black Asian dude. I'm like, yo, this dude nice. And look what he's become now. So you could always kind of see certain players. What are you looking forward to, man? Cooper Flag in March Madness might break the TV screen.
Definitely. I think Cooper Flag is going to be a big story, but Houston's going to be a big story because we want to see Houston win the championship. There, you know, from what we've seen from Houston, that's going to be good, and even Florida. Florida should be that should be a good story. Gainesville's going crazy because we're used to Gainesville being a football town, and now they're back to when they had Joakim Noah and them boys winning championships. Al Horford and all them boys down there when they were one of the best college brands we've ever seen with Billy Donovan. So to see what they're doing now is going to be good because they're at number 2. Do I think that there are odds-on favorite to win the championship? I think it's between Houston, Duke, and the number 1 team. Now I don't know about Florida, but Florida has a chance because they rank number 2. But I think that Houston and Duke are going to be interesting just to see. And you know, my man is trying to stay to make his draft class higher. But when you look at his situation and what's going on, because he was asked, he says he may stay another year to play for Duke. But I mean, for what he's doing with Duke and what they're doing, Duke looks good, man. Shout out to Coach K. That's what he do.
Yeah, man, Coach K. He obviously, you know, set that foundation for just any coach after him to just really be successful with the roots he
The roots he set in that organization is going to keep going forever, man. Forever.
No, 100%, man. Let's talk boxing, man. Had some good cards over the weekend.
Are you ready? It's time for Ringside Rundown with Prince. Discussing the biggest fights, post-fight reactions, and the latest news in the world of boxing and MMA.
Shakur just won, man, and I think out of that, man, you know, you got a lot of great fights, man. You on the card, man, but the one that stood out was Shakur. He won, you know, he beat Padley, you know, he was a last minute addition to the card. But what is funny is the back and forth with Gervonta and Shakur, and he said he's ready for him now. So with on the heels of Canelo, on the heels of all these other big fights, Boots and Bud Crawford, what do you think about Shakur Stevenson calling out Tank?
I'm wondering if he's ready for the smoke. Are you ready for one of the hardest hitters we've ever seen in boxing history? And then when you also think about what he is and what he can do, does he have a chance? I think the Crawford-Canelo fight is closer where it can go either way. This fight, I'm still leaning towards Tank. I think Tank, he's going to catch him maybe around 4th or 5th round like he did Garcia and knock him out. I mean, when you look at what Tank is, how gifted Tank is, and I mean, pound for pound, Tank is probably the top 3 fighter in the game. We're not talking about Shakur like we're talking about Tank. And so do I think Shakur has a shot? Everybody has a puncher's chance. I mean, we saw what Tarver did with Roy Jones. So anything is possible. But I don't think that this is a Tarver, Roy Jones moment. I think that it's back to business as always for Tank.
Yeah, it was, you know, people are always going to hate, but social media pretty much said it was an underwhelming performance by Shakur. You know, obviously this guy, Padley, you know, Tank responded LOL. So it's a lot of, I think, more than anything, I'm happy where boxing is now. It's exciting again.
Facts.
You know, I think, like I always bring up, it's the Dana White effect. You see he getting these big fights together. If you want the culture of boxing to continue to grow, you got to put the fights people want to see.
Facts.
People can't save their careers. They can't money chase. You got to get in there and fight. So salute to all the boxing promoters, man, and let's see how it happens.
Prince and Barty is your #1 source for all things sports. Now streaming on Spotify and iTunes.
Drop top.
You're locked into the financial playbook with Prince and Barty, discussing all the money moves happening in the world of sports.
I don't dance now, I make money move.
I know you're an MLB guy. Shout out to MLB bro, Rob Parker. But ESPN has left MLB. They're not going to be with MLB anymore. I think MLB was charging them about $500 million for licensing, and ESPN was like, "That's too much." So I think according to Rob, my source, Rob Parker, told me that TNT is going to pick that up. Remember back in the day, we used to watch, if you live in South Florida, TBS, Ted Turner broadcasting, all the Braves games. So that's why a lot of people in Florida are Braves fans. So we've seen Chipper Jones, Young, Dave Justice, obviously. But what do you think about just the business of baseball now? Do you think that's going to hurt MLB not being on ESPN anymore, or?
We're looking at a sport it's the longest going sport in America. Longer than the NFL, longer than basketball, longer than hockey or any other sport. It's been going on for a long time. MLB is always going to be around. That's why it's called America's pastime. And MLB is a global game. It's just like soccer. Everybody plays baseball. So you're not necessarily going to stop it, but it will hurt from a rating standpoint because everybody's used to watching on ESPN. But what's going to be funny now is what you're going to talk about on SportsCenter in the summer.
Oh, during these down times.
Yeah. So when the summer comes, what you all your highlights is going to be WNBA? Are you going to be sitting down interviewing all the free agents for football and basketball? Because that's what you're going to have to do. You literally didn't want to pay that $500, and I think ESPN and Disney's kind of cheap. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them financially, but with all the money that they make from people year round and things of that nature, I'm just shocked that they've been laying off a lot of people. And then now they don't want to pay this money towards the MLB. I think that's just, to me, it's cheap. But I also know maybe ESPN's like, you're not getting the ratings anymore. So why would we pay you if you're not getting the ratings?
I see that point too. I think I talk about this with Rob and just a lot of other my baseball boys. You got to make it fun again. Just like I look at three pastimes, look at like a comedy. I look at boxing and I put baseball in that. These are pastimes, right, of cultures that they got to get younger. You got to get people to care. Baseball games be like $15. Like back in the day, we lived in New York. Sure. My uncles would take me to go see the Mets because that was the cheapest ticket. We in the nosebleeds eating hot dogs, but we was at the games getting that experience. I feel like basketball has priced the fan out. So you can't even, I got 2 kids, a wife, so I can't even, if I go to a basketball game, I'm spending $1,500. Sure. Park this, so I'd rather just stay home, watch it on the big screen. You know what I mean? So baseball's in an interesting spot where they have to make it fun somehow. Shout out to Juan Carlos Stanton, Judge. They had a nice run with the home runs last year. World Series was exciting, but I don't know. Baseball just has to hire a PR team to get it going again.
They don't have parity, man. And that's what I'm looking at. They don't have parity. Like when you look at the parity of the NFL has parity. Yeah, the Chiefs have been back. But when you look at it, it's parity. They still have winners that come in and win in between. With baseball, it's the Dodgers, Philly, Houston, and the Yankees. One of those teams is going to win. Somebody may come in and sneak in. The Braves may sneak in every now and again. But Philly, Houston, the Dodgers, and the Yankees. And that's what you're looking forward to seeing every year.
So do you think it's a money thing? Obviously, there's no salary cap. These franchises are getting all the money. So that's why the blue Yankee cap, Hove. How much money did Hove make the Yankees?
Yeah, right.
So they're getting all that money. So there's no salary cap. That's why a Soto could get paid like that. All these players could get paid. Do you think they'll get to a point where it's a salary cap in baseball?
I don't think so because of the money that they make and the money that they clear. I mean, why have a salary cap? You play 162 games. For what? It's 162 games. And think about how many fans are there. So if you have over 100,000 fans, and they're paying the money, they've made over millions on one game. So there's no reason to have a salary cap. These guys can get paid whatever they want to because of that. It's the same with the NBA. The reason why the NBA players get so much is because of the games. The NFL doesn't get that because of the games. And that's why if I was the NFL, not saying they should charge more for the games because it's literally 17 games.
Yeah.
You should charge and I'm not saying this because I'm a football connoisseur, but I would charge playoff price tickets for the tickets because it's only 17 games. Let me get that money so my players can get paid. Because I think the NFL is a sport that, I'm not saying it shouldn't have a salary cap, but they should get paid. Because some of these guys are getting $350 million contracts, man.
It is.
$200 million guaranteed. How you sign a check and you get $200 million just like that? Like, only rappers be getting that type of money, or actors.
Right, but the thing too is it's long term, so it doesn't affect them long term. So they could, the Bobby Bonilla thing, where he was getting $2 million every year to this day, or $1 million a year. I think that's probably up or about to be up. But it's wild, man, the money they make. Salute to my son playing baseball.
Smart.
I'm gonna get him. Hey JJ, smart. We're gonna get you in the batting cages and
smart. That's smart.
Because
I mean, it makes sense, man. I mean, I would tell anybody if they have a child, either have them in the baseball or have them play some golf, because you're gonna get paid. At least you're not gonna get contact in golf. And then when you win in golf, look at Tiger. You make good money if you're playing golf. I would tell anybody if they have kids, golf and baseball is where I would put my kids in. Golf takes a lot of patience, but baseball takes a lot of patience, because you got to remember, batting for average is 300 that's terrible. That's how crazy baseball is.
No, the skill set is insane. How good these players are getting, man. But what you got for this week, man? What's your plans?
Shoot, man. Just doing what I do always, man. Just getting prepared. Probably gonna have to preach or do something here and there, but probably watch basketball. I'm looking forward to see this Mavericks game today, because they don't have AD and they're going up against Golden State. It should be interesting. This is the first time we'll see Clay again going back up against his team, and more than likely Golden State should win because they don't have anybody for Jimmy. But look to see Kyrie Irving to get busy today.
No, I'm looking forward to that too, man. This might sound crazy, but you know who been on my radar? That boy Drewski. He a fool.
Oh, listen,
Drewski
right now is the best comedian. In the game.
He's killing it. So I'm about to get into that his Drewski the dating show on YouTube. I think for me, as somebody working in TV, I love that he's just going right to consumer. So you don't got to sign a production company. You don't got to get with Netflix. It's off his YouTube page, an hour-long show. So salute to Drewski, man. Keep getting that money. Got to work on that layup package, though, man. 4 points in the All-Star game.
Drewski on his business, though. I give him
that.
Yeah. He definitely on his business, hanging out with Kevin Hart, hanging out with Drake, these type of cats, giving him just the game, and he doing what he's supposed to. Shout out to him, definitely on what he's doing. Definitely a funny cat, man. Dude is stupid as heck.
But, let me tell you, what's funny? So I got Disney Plus, right? My daughter is hogging up my Disney Plus. She watches Dance Moms. And funny enough, I worked on Dance Moms as a production assistant back in the day, right? But anyway, I was going to cut it off. I was like, you know what, man, I'm tired of this. I'm not watching this. I'm going to be petty and turn it off. But you tell me why I can't turn it off.
Why?
Daredevil.
Oh, facts. Facts.
Daredevil starts in March, man.
That's the thing I like, though. Marvel is trying to come back. I did see the Captain America movie, which was decent. Marvel is trying to come back, and that should be interesting. I think Daredevil is a must-watch as far as the seasons to come up. Cats need to watch the new Reacher. That's another must-watch.
Okay, I heard about that.
Reacher is good, man. It's definitely good.
Right.
Alan Richardson is the actor, and he's doing a great job with the series. This particular season, he's supposed to be going undercover. That's what the season synopsis is. So it should be good. I'm hearing that they're coming up with other series, and Disney too. They did X-Men 97. When they did X-Men 97. They have a Spider-Man one that they just released.
Okay.
And that one is pretty good. I watched it. It's animated. It's a series, and they flipped the storyline. Instead of Tony Stark being his point man, it's Norman Osborn being his point man. So it changed the whole storyline. So, there's a lot of shows coming out, Invincible, things that cats can watch. I would say, though, I'm looking forward to the summer. I think July is going to be a crazy month. You got Jurassic World, the new one. You got Superman, and you got Fantastic Four all in 1 month. So I'll be in the theaters all July.
You see this, man. Barty is your guy for all things movies. I just tap in here and there, man. I got 2 kids. They ain't going to let me watch nothing. But so Barty tells me what to watch. So that's our show, man. I appreciate y'all checking in. This is episode 105 of Prince and Barty. Thank you for tuning in. All our new listeners, you're going to love it here. I promise. We'll see you next time.
Next time, man. Y'all check us out.
Prince and Barty will be doing live broadcast at several locations around the country. Follow and like all Prince and Barty's social media pages for exclusive details. There will be game tournaments, sport trivia, best fan contest, and cash giveaways all night. This can be your chance to win big.